This is a global news update on top accolade news. The headlines: EU leaders condemn Hungary's LGBTQ clampdown. US and China confirm framework trade deal. Ukraine seeks EU sanction on Bangladesh over alleged import of Russian stolen grains. India pushes China for lasting border resolution. We'll start with the focus in politics. EU leaders condemn Hungary's LGBTQ clampdown. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban has warned that those organizing or attending this week's Budapest Pride march could face legal consequences, citing a controversial police ban justified by child protection laws passed in March. The legislation backed by Orban's right-wing Fidesz party permits police to block LGBTQ events and use facial recognition to find participants. Despite growing international support, including from Britain, France, Germany, and the European Commission, Budapest's Liberal mayor insists that the march will proceed as a city celebration. Orban rejected foreign criticism, likened the EU's pressure to Soviet-era interference, underscoring his government's ongoing clampdown on LGBTQ rights ahead of next year's national elections. In economy, US and China confirm framework trade deal. China and the United States have confirmed the details of a new framework trade agreement month after President Donald Trump imposed sweeping tariffs on Beijing. The deal, finalized after talks in Geneva and London, includes China expediting rare earth exports crucial to US tech and defense industries, while Washington agrees to lift several restrictive trade measures. Beijing will review export application under legal standards, aiming to restore stability in a strained economic relationship. A White House official also signed a possible extension of a looming July deadline for broader tariff hikes on multiple economies, boosting investor optimism across global markets. Still in economy, Ukraine seeks EU sanctions on Bangladesh over alleged import of Russian stolen grains. Ukraine plans to urge the European Union to impose sanctions on Bangladesh entities accused of importing wheat allegedly stolen from its Russian-occupied territories after repeated diplomatic warnings went unanswered, according to Kyiv's envoy in South Asia. Ukrainian intelligence claimed Russia blends grains seized from occupied Ukrainian lands with its own harvest before exporting it, with over 150,000 tons reportedly shipped to Bangladesh. Dhaka denies importing stolen grains, while the EU says such trade, if proven, could trigger new sanctions. Ukraine's move escalates tensions amid ongoing war and rising global concerns over food security. Moving to international relations, India pushes China for lasting border resolution. At the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Defense Ministers meeting, Indian Defense Minister pressed his Chinese counterpart to pursue a permanent solution to the long-standing Himalayan border dispute, calling for a structured roadmap and revived dialogue mechanisms. He highlighted the need to rebuild trust after a deadly 2020 clash and ongoing military standoff, while both sides agreed to continue discussions on disengagement, de-escalation, and eventual border delimitation. Although ties have recently thawed, with plans to resume direct flights, no joint SCO statement was issued due to the disagreement over language on terrorism. You're watching the Global News Update on Top Accolade News. Do stay with us. Still to come. Thanks for staying with us. Still in international relations, South Korea calls on North for early warning of dam water releases. South Korea has urged North Korea to provide advance notice before releasing water from the Hangwan Dam, warning that unannounced discharges during the monsoon season risk flooding borders and endangering lives. The appeal, delivered through a public briefing by the Ministry of Unification, follows rising water levels at key monitoring points like likely caused by recent unsignaled release. with direct inter-Korean communication cut since April 2023, Seoul emphasized the humanitarian need for cooperation, recalling a 2009 tragedy where 6 South Koreans died after an unannounced dam discharge. Despite a 2010 agreement for prior notifications, Pyongyang has largely ignored it in recent years. Moving to crime, Japan breaks execution pause with notorious social media murderer. Japan has executed a 34-year-old known as the Twitter killer who was convicted for murdering 9 people who he lured through social media in 2017. Hanged at the Tokyo detention house, his execution marks the country's first in nearly 3 years. The justice minister confirmed he approved the execution after a careful deliberation. Twitter killer preyed on individuals expressing suicidal thoughts online, promising a death pact, but killing and dismembering them instead. His case, widely condemned by right groups, have ignited domestic and international criticism of Japan's capital punishment system. In entertainment, Anna Wintour steps down as editor-in-chief of US Vogue after 37 years. Dame Anna Wintour is stepping down as editor-in-chief of American Vogue after an iconic 37 years tenure, marking the end of an era for the world-renowned fashion magazine. The 75-year-old British-born fashion titan, known for her signature bob and dark glasses, will remain as Vogue's global editorial director and chief content officer for publisher Condé Nast. Wintour, who revolutionized fashion media and helped shape cultural trends, told staff she now wants to empower a new generation of editors. Her legacy includes transforming Vogue into a global style authority and spearheading the star-studded Met Gala. Now in sports, Manchester City defeats Juventus 5-2. Manchester City delivered a commanding performance to finish top of the Group G at the Club World Cup, dismantling Juventus 5-2 in a high-scoring clash on Thursday. With both teams already through, City showcased their title credentials as Jeremy Doku, Erling Haaland, Phil Foden and Savino all found the net alongside a Juventus own goal, highlighting the Italian side's defensive frailties. Despite goals, Juventus couldn't keep pace with Pep Guardiola's men, who became the only team in Group phase to win all 3 matches. Juventus now await the winner of Group H in the last 16. That concludes our global news updates for today. Stay tuned for more global news and developments. Thanks for joining us. I'm Mojarumi Okocha. Connect and engage with us on all our social media handles. Do have a wonderful day.